Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I just realized that I forgot to I have on it's like a strapless dress thing. And I forgot that I just realized I was going to put something over it because otherwise I look naked when I'm on camera. We'll do that at the break. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Today is like our court Friday because we have no court tomorrow and we are off all next week. So today is quite a day. Don't be mad. I failed a little bit this morning. I unfortunately just closed out my thing that showed who my first chatters were on accident. I had popped over to RA's channel to say good morning before we had to start, and I accidentally closed it out. So I don't know who was first in chat, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will do better next week. I'm still functioning on very little sleep. I told y'all that I was going to get off of here yesterday and get some sleep. That didn't happen. What had happened was I went down a rabbit hole, and I'm about to take y'all down the rabbit hole with me before court gets started. We are off next week because there's no court next week. So today is the last day of court until, and we don't have court on Fridays. Of course, they don't have court scheduled on Fridays. So today is the last day until the following Monday, the 9th or whatever that day is. So, which is interesting. That's a long time for the jury to be like, in between everything. So interesting, but no court next week. It worked out great for me though, because I'm going to be on vacation. So, oh, yay. I should have known that my fantastic mods know everything. Okay. Welcome to First in the Tailgate. I'm sorry I don't have a graphic because I closed it out. I'm failing miserably, but I'll be better once I'm rested and we come back from vacation. Congratulations, Lynn, Tosh, and Julie McBride. Congratulations. You get your tailgate furniture. Congratulations to you. I appreciate y'all coming in, hanging out. It is almost boat time. Almost. I'm so excited. We are leaving tomorrow. My friend and I that are going, we are leaving tomorrow. I have not even packed. I have not even done laundry. I have been in this chair from about 5 a.m. until at least midnight to 1 o'clock every single day for the last 3 days. So I have nothing ready. I have nothing ready. But that's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. I think we're going to leave like tomorrow afternoon. So my plan is today to try to do some laundry when we finish. And while I'm doing laundry, in between laundry, I'm going to do my recap video that I can put out for y'all tomorrow. And then I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon. And then the ship leaves on Saturday. Yes, Saturday. So excited. So excited. It's a mental health break that I need. And as much as I love hanging out with y'all, because hanging out with y'all is the fun part, but there's a lot of work that goes into all of this. So it will be really nice to not work I'm going to miss hanging out with y'all, but all of the before and after and all of that work stuff is going to be, oh my gosh, it's going to be so nice to just relax. Okay, so let's chat. We have a few minutes. I want to tell you all about the rabbit hole that I went down. Okay, so yesterday, I was asking for Uh, Shireen, Brandy works hard. CC works harder. Yes. CC needs a vacation as well. CC's off the chain. Um. Okay, so this is the rabbit hole. Uh, Remember yesterday I was asking about if you have any theories. Because let me be clear, I have not decided guilt or innocence yet because I haven't heard the defense. Right now, all we've heard is, some of the stuff from prosecution. Right now, the evidence doesn't look good against him. But we haven't heard defense. So there could be logical explanations. There could be, whatever. We might be able to hear something that is like, okay, cool. That makes sense. Got it. As of right now, not there. So I was asking yesterday in chat, like if you are like a firm believer, that he's innocent. I want to know your theories. I want to map out the theories so we can test it and see if it's, if it's doable. Y'all know I like to map things out. I like to take the data. I like to do all that stuff. So I started doing the prosecution side, and taking like their timeline and their information and mapping it out, and trying to see if I could figure it out. So I worked on that one, and that one I've kind of got figured out. Like I can I can see how all of their story makes sense, that he would be the shooter. All of it makes sense. All of it lined up. I got it mapped out. I want to show you in just a second. But I want, for any of those of y'all who believe he's innocent, I want to map out an alternate theory. I want to map out an innocence theory. So if you have any kind of theories that, let me be clear. When I say email me the theories, I don't mean email me Bortland is the shooter or it was gang stuff. I mean, I want like a detailed, how can you say that this happened based on this evidence stuff? If you have any of that, please send it to me, because I would love to be able to map that out too, so that we have an alternate view. So if you have any of that, just send it to me, brandy@brandychurchwell.com. But as we stand right now, what they have shown us is the evidence against him, which of course is not in his favor. All right, so this is what I did. All right, so this is the map, and we've seen different versions of this map. I want to show y'all the rabbit hole that I was on last night, and why I, instead of going to bed at 8 o'clock, I stayed up till 2 a.m. Actually, 2 hours of that was Broward County's fault, and I'll tell you why. Because the address that they have on the PCA of the gatehouse where they took the picture of the red SUV entering, they have the wrong address on the gatehouse. The gatehouse that they went in was the other one. So I kept thinking, why are they going in the north gate instead of the south gate when they live south? And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, what if it's this conspiracy thing? What if it's, like, what if they were involved in this way or this way or this way? It took me 2 hours, and I had to pull up on like Google Street View, and you can't even get Street View where they live because it's a gated community. So I ended up, I could only get Street View like right outside of the gates. So, and it would only go so far, and the gates aren't like right on the road. You have to like go down this little thing. So I finally was able to compare the trees and the shrubs and realize that it's two different gates, and they had the wrong address. Broward County wasted 2 of my hours last night, and I'm mad about it. But Jill C, I 100% agree. We will never get the full story because nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to show up, nobody wants to remember anything. we'll never get the full story. But that's why I like to use the data and see if we can figure out as much of it as possible on our own. But we'll never know. We'll never know all of it, which is frustrating, you know. All right, so let's go down the rabbit hole together, shall we? So this is, let me actually do it like this. This is the timeline for after the murders. All right, so it's hard to look. So let me kind of explain what we got going on here. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the stuff in and out, you know, whatever. Okay, perfect. Hi, Dylan Turner, that says Melly is getting out. I would like to know why Melly is getting out. Can you please email me your theory? I don't know if you were in here before when I was just saying this, but I have mapped out the stuff from the prosecution. I would like other theories. I want to map one out that shows that he could be innocent. So if you know he's getting out, that means you have a theory that goes against all this evidence. So if you could email it to me so I could map it out as well. Let's see. Alrighty, let's see. At 4:03, this is my rabbit hole. This is plotting out, trying to figure out all of those times. So their cell phones show that they're at the crime scene 4 a.m. to 4:03, and then they leave. I know this looks messy. In my head, it's organized, but I'll break it down. So they leave the crime scene at 4:03. And now let me be clear. This is according to prosecution. This is me mapping out prosecution. I want to map out one that shows he's innocent too, but I haven't found any that work with the evidence. So send me what you got. This is they leave the crime scene at 4:03. We know that Melly's phone and Sack's phone are at the crime scene together. Juvie didn't have activity on his phone, which means it's likely he could have been asleep. The only time that he did have like one ping down here, but I copied this from the other report. There were 2 cell phone reports. Anyway, Juvie's not on here, but there was one ping on there. But the other ones that you're going to see are just Sack because there were no data points for his after this. All right, so let's see. They leave the crime scene at 4:03. We know that because of data. They come up here, go over here. The camera catches the Jeep at 4:06 a.m. That checks out. That's about a 4 to 5 minute drive, depending on whatever. Depending on which part of where you started from, it was showing anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes. Well, 3 to 5 minutes because of how close they were to 27. But anyway, I digress. So they come up here, they're driving through here at 4:06. They're caught on camera. Now, I don't know, we're going to hear more about this, I'm sure, but there's nothing that I've seen yet that says that the camera at the school caught them going back or forth again after this, which makes me curious. So I hope we'll hear more than that. But basically, I mapped it out that if they drive there, let's say that they drove here and then they're like, oh crap, we need to get rid of the guns, because we know they went back to the scene because their cell phones show them back there. So, or back on this road. So let's say he turns around and he goes back and he follows this little path and he goes back. I don't know if you can see it, but what I did is I took the maps, the cell tower maps, and I layered them on here so that you can see, or so that I could see the spots where they were. So based on where that is, where they were when they went back the next day, the one with the 3 big blue lines is where they were at the next day when they were parked. And remember, Jacoby Mills said that he went to go get the gun out of that wooded area. So what do I do because I'm obsessive? I pull up Google Maps and I just dumped myself in the swamp. I go look. Okay, so this is the area where they were at when they went the next day, and you can see wooded areas. So it had to have been based on where they were and where the road is and where the only places they could have been. It would have been somewhere around here. So I use that as my data point. So that works out with their timeline. So then they go, let's say they dump the guns. That's the only thing. And that part is theory. I don't know that they went back during that time to dump the guns. So this is the stuff that's in white is just theory. The other stuff is all the stuff that's been evidence. So they leave again. The cell phone ping right here at 4:17, right here at 4:18, right here at 4:20, which all that lines up time-wise. So now they're on this route. The Melly's phone pings right here, and you can see I've got the tower data right there. That it has to be in. It's like this. This is the range of how far it is during that time. This is the range of how far it is during that time, which would be consistent with being on that road. And then I'm thinking maybe they turned here, came this way, dropped. And again, this is just based on prosecution, trying to map out theories. Dropped Melly off here, and then Bortland came around and went to the hospital. So the reason I was thinking this is because this time frame works if they're like, oh crap, we need to go dump the guns or whatever they went back to the crime scene for, and then go back and leave. That time frame works out. Okay, then this time frame, that works out too. That's exactly a 4-minute drive, which is exactly 4 minutes right there. If he turned right there, came down, dropped Melly off right here, and then went to the hospital, all of that timing works out pretty much exact. Now, the two data points that they had where he sent Fredo Bang, I found those. One is right here, one is right here. There's also a one of the cell phone pings right here. So that's why my theory is that maybe if this is how this all played out, that's where he dropped Melly off at, because now Melly's in the woods, saying he's hiding behind, not in the woods, but saying he's hiding behind bushes and stuff, trying to get somebody to come get him. So if he dropped him off here, there's a little turnaround thing right here. If he dropped him off here and then went straight back to the hospital, the PCA says, now she said in opening statements that he got out at 4:20, but unless we hear something else, that doesn't make sense to me. Because if he got out at 4:20, then he would not have been able to still be traveling at the speed he was going when his phone was pinging on that road. So I think that email me your theory if there's one that if you can make that scenario work, email it to me. So based on all of the data and the evidence that you have, I think that the PCA was probably, just based on what they've shown us so far, is closer to being right than, because they said that he exited the car at 4:32. So if he exits the car at 4:32, then that would put him, and see, I have him. This is Melly. He exits the car at 4:32. So he walks down here. He sends this pin right here. This is the first pin to Fredo Bang. And then this is the second one. So if he got dropped off here and walked down here, that is 0.6 miles. It just so happens that 0.6 miles is almost exactly the number of steps that he took on his phone. So it would make sense, right? So I'm curious to see what else they have that we could kind of look at. This is well, here, I can blow it up and show you. The two spots where he, okay, so this is the scene. They come back if he came through here. All right, so if he's dropped off, oops, just exit out of that. If he's dropped off here, this is where I'm thinking maybe if this theory is true, based on what else we can find. Brandy at brandychurchwell.com. If this theory is true, and like I said, this can change based on what evidence we get, but this is all we have right now. Yes, the speeds are based on cell tower data, like from from where they were at the pings. So like there's one that was like those last two red ones. It was from the tower. It was showing that like one was at 4:23 and 12 seconds. The other one was like 4:23 and 55 seconds or something like that. So that's how I was able to determine that time is what would match up by the camera footage, what time it caught them, and the cell phone towers and seconds, what time it caught them, and the distance. So, okay, let's say if he dropped them off here, there's like this little, basketball court here and everything. If he dropped them off here and then he goes over here, here's the hospital, right? So Borland goes over here, pulls in the hospital. So then Melly, if, based on the pins he dropped and stuff, he was right here for one of them. And if you look right here, right where the pin is, there's like a little picnic table and stuff, like a little area. And it looks like he was there for a second. And then the second one was right here. And there's another one. Where is it? I think I dropped myself too far. Oh, yeah. So this one, it won't let me get like all the way there. So if I drop right here, there was like a little, oh, there it is. I see it. So it shows that the pin is like right over here, which is kind of right where that little table and gazebo thing is. So, there are no cameras along the route that they have mentioned other than the school and the McDonald's, and they have those. So I added those in here. So, but I'm thinking like, he's talking about hiding in bushes and stuff. And like, there's like these tables back here with, the bushes and stuff. So he was talking about hiding in tables on the thing. Okay. One other interesting thing. Let's see. The hospital is right here, right? This is where I think, based on the data, if this is how it happened, this is where it would make sense that he got dropped off. These are the two data points that were sent. Now at 4:40, it's when Melly is like, phone is right here, like in this area, whatever, like at the top of that little road, right? Oh goodness. Rewind if you want to hear the answer to that. The ping from where he called track is at 4:40, and it's right here. The other two pings are down here. So in between this, so the first pin that he sends right here at 4:42 to Fredo, and then there's text between him and Fredo. Fredo sends his address during this time. Now, if you look right here, oops, not right there. If you look right here, this is where Melly's house is, right here. The address that Fredo sends is Fredo's house that he had just moved into right here. So it looks like maybe with him walking along this way, maybe he's trying to get to Fredo's house, which we know he ended up going there, but maybe he's trying to get there, but he can't really just walk through the gates because he would be on camera. So maybe that could be, you know, why he's trying to get him to pick him up. Okay, Dylan Turner. Yes, we've addressed all this, and all of that is taken into consideration, and every single part of that is. So, like I said, if you want to send me your theory that goes with the evidence, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise, quit tearing down everything else. These are theories, like I said. Not going to address that again. So, enough of that. I would like to, you know, as things progress too, y'all know I love the data. So as things progress too, I'm interested to see what else they show us, what else they bring, how this can kind of change and move, you know, and you know, if anything gives us more information or rules anything out, I'll be interested to see how it all plays out. So when they give us all the data, that's my favorite part. I love hearing all of the details. All right. Court now.
How you doing? All right. Court's now in session. The Honorable John Murphy. Bye.
There we go.
Fireball. Yeah.
Good morning, guys and gals. We're just, here.
Oh, this is the house too that they lived in. It's
Weather
cold now,
conditions are perfect.
but
I don't know if I should give the court credit or Garrett.
Garrett.
He's arrested.
let the CC shenanigans begin. Some of the stuff yesterday, well, actually the last, well, I mean, all the last 2 weeks has been really funny, but there was some that people were tagging me in. I don't get to see a lot of the CC because I can't pay attention to it because I'll get distracted. But any of those that y'all see, take screenshots of it and send them to us or tag us on Twitter or Facebook or whatever so we can see them. They're funny.
That's it now.
Yeah.
No objection. Defer to the court, of course.
Karen, the next witness.
We don't have court.
Yes, just on scheduling, in terms of we're gonna call the witness out of turn, because she's a record custodian, and get her on here.
Alyssa, them saying that the cell tower saying they never stopped is saying that all of their points of data are consistent with still being in motion. From certain points, but that's the thing. It's like that's why I want to hear all the theories, because there are certain times, like after,
Not too far though.
like in between data points, where you know, like on the parts where I showed, like I was, you know, saying like this could work, they could have gone this way. There's, like you said, there's so many variables with that. So I'll be interested to see all the other information they have, and you know, hopefully clear some of that stuff up. I think we have, it's like we have like the skeleton of what happened, but I'm ready for like the meat of it, you know? Judge is like, get me through today. All right, let's see. William Atkins says, my conspiracy, Melly shot one and Bortland shot one. In the event that comes out, would Melly still get death penalty? Okay, so how would that have worked? Because based on the medical examiner and the crime scene reconstruction and the trajectory of the bullets and everything, both shots came from the back seat. So what is your theory on how each one of them would have shot one? I like the details. I love hearing other theories. Oh, Alyssa K, girl, I know you. Like you and I always talk about different stuff. I 100% know. I know you. I know you're not like that. Hi, Frankie's World. Let's see. Any thoughts on why Cortland would let Melly out instead of having him go to the hospital with him? It's odd, but of course, there's always things that happened I won't understand. I think it's odd too, but also, okay. So let's say if the state's theory is right, and Melly just killed both of them. If I were him, I'd be kind of scared not to let him out. I mean, because what are the other options? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, what? Because if it were me and I just saw him kill kill our two best friends, and then he's like, "Let me out," I don't know that I could be like, "Heck no, you're going with me." Like, I think I would be nervous. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts? That's a good point, Marla. If the state's theory is right, then Melly would have had a lot of blood on him. And I think it would probably also be maybe more believable that somehow one of them got lucky enough not to get shot instead of two of them, maybe.
Present is the defendant, his counsel, the assistant state attorneys. I understand the ladies and gentlemen, jury ready to proceed. State ready?
Yes, sir.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
And it was made clear to me a few minutes ago that the state's next witness is going to be called out of turn. There's no objection. Is that right?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so let's do that. Bring in the jury.
Alyssa Kay, I agree. The tower information itself is not the stuff that's accurate. So, like the tower maps that they did, I didn't even account for those. I only did the engineering stuff that gives like the more accurate data points, and then the what they call it, true calls information was the other one, which shows the tower, but it gives the distance to the tower. So I used the two reports to give like the more accurate one. I won't even use the cell towers, like the tower reports themselves.
That bad.
They're so vague. They're not really reliable.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record, once again, reflect the presence of the jury, the defendant, defense counsel, and state attorneys. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust you had a nice night, and we're ready to begin now. The state indicated that they wanted to call a witness out of turn.
Probably.
Detective Sergeant Williams is here, but he's just waiting outside as a short witness the state wanted
Thank
to
you.
put on now out of turn. The defense indicated they had no objection to that. So we're going to call that witness first. Who is the witness?
Sean Newman.
Good morning. Are you Ms. Sean?
Yes.
Welcome. What I'd like to do is remain standing, raise your right hand, and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your full legal name for the record.
Tashawn Newman.
Please spell your first and last name for the court reporter.
First name is Tashaun. Last name Newaman.
Thank you. Please have a seat. I want the record Ms. Newman, there's a microphone in front of you, it's pointing straight up, it should be moving down, all right? Just that way. You all set?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you state your name and where you're currently employed?
My name is Tashawn Newman, and I work for the Florida Department of Transportation Turnpike Enterprise.
Okay, and what is your role or your assignment currently?
I am the account research manager. I oversee the department that does extensive research into accounts, as well as we fulfill public records requests.
Okay, and prior to your position as an account research manager, what was your position?
Financial investigator.
And what were your duties as a financial investigator?
A large portion of that position was fulfilling public records for law enforcement, as well as for our legal department.
Okay, and in this particular case, back on or about October of 2018, did you receive a subpoena, not you specifically, but the corporation, received a subpoena regarding video surveillance from October 26th of 2018?
Yes, they do.
And in the form of legal service, correct?
Correct.
Either subpoena or public records?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you fulfill that request?
Yes, I do.
And are video surveillance kept in the normal course of business by your department?
Yes, they are.
And are they essentially made out of near the time of the event, here specifically October 26th of 2018, and routinely kept?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, I will be showing defense counsel to mark this case while we will kept for identification purposes. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
And Ms. Newman, did you have an opportunity prior to your testimony to review the USB?
Yes, I did.
And what is it?
It's a USB with the various videos of the toll roads on the express lanes.
From October 26th of 2018?
Oh, here we go.
Yes, ma'am.
More
Is it
data
in the
points.
same or substantially the same condition as when you last reviewed it?
Yes, it is.
Any alterations or deletions that you can see?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state reviewed this evidence, states quadruple F, that states 81.
Is there any objection?
No, sir.
Thank you. It'll be admitted.
States quadruple F, A-Mark states 81.
No request to publish at this time, Your Honor. No further questions.
Counsel, is there any cross-examination of this witness?
I have none, Your Honor.
Thank you. Madam?
Why is this doing that? It did this yesterday. I have literally the fastest internet.
Thank you very much. May I step down?
Thank you.
You're excused. Who's your next witness? We're back on with Sergeant Williams. You ask Sergeant Williams to come in, please?
Yes, sir.
That's introductory. It'll be a minute, ladies and gentlemen.
Justice Obsessed says, I don't understand how the defense has been so successful at people not having to testify that were so damning to their case. Well, the thing is, some of them, you don't have to, like, you can use attorney-client privilege for things that incriminate yourself. So, like, Fredo Bang, if he went and picked him up after the fact, then that would make him an accessory. So that would incriminate himself. So he can talk to his attorney about that. His attorney said that he, used attorney-client privilege to, to not answer that question. And they, filed a motion to quash his subpoena and said that they had a typo on it or something and didn't have his right address and all kinds of stuff. So they have fought tooth and nail for a lot of this stuff. Let's see. I'm curious if there was blood found on the ground where the shooting happened. If I was covered in blood, I would expect to see spots from it dripping off me when walking around the car. No, Jackie, but they did not know about that being the crime scene until like over a month later, because they didn't know that they even went to that area, because obviously nobody told them until they got the cell phone records back. So it would have been gone.
You need a restroom break, Ms. Dennis?
Doesn't give me restroom break.
No, sir.
All right, we're in recess. Thank you.
What?
It's always
Restroom break?
happening.
We just got here. Let me mute it because, long crimes won't come in my ear. I'm catching up on chat. I got behind when I was going over this stuff, but I'm catching up, trying to see if I missed any questions. Yes, there is the video. Sway says, did anyone not listen to what Chris's father said about the situation? The interview that Anjanette did with Juvie's dad, he mentions the money and stuff too. When we first started this trial, I had said, I don't know of any of the motives. Like, everything that I've heard is just rumor. The only thing that, because there's reports of, Sack and Melly's mom not getting along. We know that. She even made a video about it. We saw the text between her and Melly about it. We know, he even kicked her out of their house one day. There was a lot of tension there. There was fighting there. We've seen evidence to know that's a fact. That in and of itself is a fact. Do we know if that's a motive? No, but we know that part is a fact. The stuff about money, we know that there are texts and messages and depositions talking about Sack was expecting to get money, and then he was expecting to get $200,000, and then he said suddenly that he didn't think he was going to get it, and that he was upset, and then suddenly he was worried for his safety, and then 2 days later he was dead. So all of that stuff is fact. Can we prove that that's motive? No, but that's fact. So there are different things that could be potential motives, but it, without communication saying, this is why I did this, or I'm going to do this because of this, or anything like that, it's kind of hard to say. But the money thing keeps coming up, and the tension between Sack and Jamie King keeps coming up too. Let's see. The only thing that has me second guessing the state is the fact that he was beefing with other G-Shine sets, plus how close they were to each other in the car. Okay, let's talk about the G-Shine sets. Because this is one that there's been talks on too. All right, let's look at this. The conversations that he was having, I've almost finished all this. Okay, so here's the murders. But the conversations that he was having, he wasn't beefing with anybody yet. I mean, this was like Gino had just sent him a thing of the blood oath on like 2 days before, told him, they're texting back and forth, and he's like, beloved and rise up and all that stuff that they do. Goon messaged him on the 20th and he didn't respond, but that was the first message he had gotten from him since in almost a month. He had the fight with Quando Rondo and NBA Youngboy, but I mean, that was in a whole other state. That was when they were in LA. So at this point, there wasn't really any beef yet. It was just, there were conversations and stuff, but none of that. And the thing that's weirder about it too is that there wasn't, of all the communication that they had between text and Snapchat and all of that stuff, there was no communication whatsoever between him and anybody on any of the platforms, and all of them were subpoenaed. There was no communication between him and anybody else with any plans to meet up or do anything that night. So the theory of having somebody meeting them out there would have been, I don't think I've ever gone to meet anybody without having some kind of communication, even leaving the studio, on my way, because they even said when they got to the studio, they didn't stay there long because they were tired. They weren't feeling it. They ended up leaving. They, to us, I'll say to us, to me, them being there until, 3:30 in the morning is like, oh my God, I wake up at 5 a.m. So to be at 3:30 a.m. is crazy to me. But if you look at the time frames of their texts that they're sending back and forth, that ain't, their bedtime ain't 9 o'clock. So to me, it's saying that they're leaving the studio early, but it was like 3:19 is crazy. But when they had planned on being there longer, so if they left the studio earlier than what was expected, and there's no communication about meeting up with anybody, then how would anybody have known to go out to this area in the middle of nowhere? If there are FaceTime calls before, that would be the only way that I could think that there would be communication, because that will show a data mark on the phone records, but not like a call. So it'll show a data mark and how long it was, but of course we won't know what was said and all of that. Let's see. Did Melly ever have any psychiatric testing done? I believe that he's diagnosed bipolar. Of course, HIPAA, I haven't seen his medical records, but that's what he said, and his mom has said that. DFlesh60 says defense is acting like they got the state right where they want them. Arrogance beyond belief. Okay. Devil's advocate, though. So I want us to be able to see things from both sides, too. So if anybody's ever been in sales, right? the number one thing with being in sales is you have to be confident in what you're selling. You have to know that you have something that everybody else is going to benefit from. If you're like, hey, well, you know, do you even like, look, even Girl Scouts, you know, like if they're like, well, Girl Scouts no, because that sells itself, let's be honest. Oh, now I want Thin Mints. But if you have something that, like, you know, if you're selling a product or whatever, and you're like, you know, well, you know, you want this? It might be okay. It might, you know, but if you're like, no, this is, you know, this is the best thing you're ever going to have. You're, you know, you're going to love it. I can't believe everybody in the world hasn't tried this yet, whatever. Confidence makes other people believe in something that they know nothing about. So a defense attorney is going to come in and be confident about everything. And sometimes it can be frustrating, you know, watching some of them. Like there are some, you know, attorneys that I've seen before that I'm not fans of, but that's kind of just part of being a defense attorney. Do you feel like there was another shooter? I would like to hear your theory about who it was, how they got there, and how Melly had his phone before and
Let the record
after.
once again reflect the presence of our defendant, Mr. Demmons, his counsel, the assistant attorneys, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and our witness, Christopher Williams, Sergeant Williams remains on stand. Sergeant, I just
They're
remind you, you still remain under oath, all right?
Melly's clothes are gone.
And I think we're going to do your cross-examination.
Yes, I have nothing more for Sergeant Williams. Thank you.
Okay. No further questions. All right. Is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, you're
Good morning, Sergeant. How are you?
Good morning, Ms. President.
So with regards to the autopsy photos and things that you reviewed, how were you able to get the approximate shoulder width of Mr. Thomas?
So the autopsy, the medical examiner's office, they use a scale
Dapper today.
it's a big ruler that goes the length of the autopsy table where the decedent is lying.
Okay, and in terms of that, so you got that 2 feet 6 inches from approximately?
Approximately.
In terms of, counsel asked you with regards to the
Good morning.
multiple times as to how did you rule out that someone was outside the car? Why? Why did you do that?
And that was explained in him also multiple times. It's the blood that was on the headliner, the lack of blood in the passenger side rear seat, and the GSR that was inside the vehicle.
Okay, with regards to ejection pattern testing that counsel asked you about. If you're going to do an ejection pattern, what would you have to do?
You'd have to have the firearm, and you'd have to have the ammunition to conduct that test.
And in terms of the time frame on the casings, is it important to find them immediately after?
It would be very important to find them immediately after.
So a month delay in finding them, could you do ejection pattern testing if it's a month later?
You can, well, if you have the firearm, you can do ejection pattern testing. How it would apply to on the side of the road, you would have to do that on the side of the road with that firearm.
And if individuals have gone back and picked up casings from the scene, how would that affect ejection pattern recreation?
Individuals as in strangers?
Or people that were friends with the defendant, if they went back to the side of the road.
Objection, Your Honor.
Stay.
If individuals went and picked up casings, not knowing they were involved.
Objection, there's no evidence of that.
As to that question is overruled, the objection is overruled.
So if they were picked up, it could alter it, but at the end of the day, it still needs to be measured.
So in terms of the shots that are in this vehicle, how can you tell the approximate distance that the shots were fired from?
The approximate distance is obviously going, as I said, this is a unique case where our shooting is contained to a vehicle. So we have known distances within the vehicle. We have known distances of the, not necessarily the arm, but we have a known distance of width inside of the width of people. And the stippling pattern that is on Christopher Thomas, who's on the back seat, and some of the stippling that is observed on Anthony Williams, who was in the front seat.
What about on the outside of the car? How can you tell that that wasn't shot from a mile away?
You can tell that it wasn't shot from a mile away by the angle of it and its type of impact into the vehicle. So if it's shot from a mile away, the projectile is going to start tumbling again. It's going to go head over heel. As it loses velocity, as it loses its spin, it's going to start wobbling, and then eventually will start going its head over heel and then keyhole into its target.
Did you see any evidence of distant fire in this case?
No.
In terms of the defendant in this case, you said you measured him?
Yes.
Do you recall about what date that occurred on?
Can I repeat?
If we need to refresh your recollection, please do.
November 30th of 2021.
And at the time that you measured him, was it here in the courthouse?
Yes.
And that's where your office was at the time?
Yes.
And could you describe his build?
He's slender, but he's tall but slender.
Okay. And in terms of, would you say that he has broad shoulders?
No.
And you said he was 5'6", right?
Correct.
In terms of that car that we were talking about, what's the best way to get an idea of how big the inside of that car is?
You can measure it, or you can also view it.
And where is that car right now?
That car is in the crime scene unit forensic processing garage right now.
Is it available for the jury to view this morning?
Yes.
Here, if we may approach.
She does have that voice, and it's like one of those. It's like so sweet. It almost comes off as like kind of condescending, but she's like, okay, oh, okay, and where's that car now? You know what I mean? Like her voice is so, like the tone of it is like you. What are those like you? It's almost like either really sweet or sarcastically condescending, you know? Like a teacher that's getting onto a kindergartner is what it sounds like. Frankie's World, the money thing has, it's in like the court records and stuff. The where they pulled the bank statements of the oh, I can't use my words this morning. They pulled the bank statements of like the manager and of, you know, a lot of the people involved basically. And the messages from Sack, or between Sack and his mom, and then her deposition. That's where the money stuff comes in. And I mean, and of course the outside interviews. But as far as like the actual case is concerned. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that one from this morning was just a scheduling thing. They just brought her in to get her in and out. She just had to
Thank you, sir.
verify records.
Madam City, who's the next one?
If you're just proposing a 5-minute recess to set up some videos for the next review.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a short recess. We have discussed the case, don't form any opinion about the case, don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence, concerning no research.
Another recess. So up next we get to
Do I reflect your recess? Yeah, we'll be recessing.
a lot of the videos. So I guess we'll find out if that's going to be. I know they have the security camera videos that we'll see. I don't know if that'll be today or not, but I know she said they're getting ready to play videos, and some of the Snapchat videos that they agreed on being entered into evidence, and we'll have to see what else. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I want to hear some theories on this. Okay, so based on the reconstruction yesterday, it says, I was leaning towards a botched robbery once I saw the reconstruction. I could see someone leaning into the vehicle and firing. Melly can't tell on anyone, especially if it was Herc and the crew. Okay, so let's pretend like we're going to build a case to say that this is our theory, this is our case. What we can find to support it. If they leaned in through the back to shoot them like they said, don't you think it would be weird for them to have the window rolled down long enough for somebody to reach in and shoot and then roll the window back up to go to the hospital? And then also, what would they have done during that 30 minutes? And if it was a robbery, why would they have staged the drive-by? And how would they have not had any other phones or GPS or anything registering in that area on the geofence? It was a fake robbery. Every professional said that. So the jury is going by what is being said. Who said it's a fake robbery? Portland could have had the communication. So if Portland had the communication, how would he have the communication though if he didn't have a phone on him? Or he said he didn't have a phone at all, but the thing is, even a burner phone would show up on the geofencing. Blake Patton says the circumstantial evidence is becoming pretty strong. All the theories about outside parties would for sure be interesting, but none of the evidence points to it. Exactly, Blake Patton, which is why I keep asking, because like I said yesterday, I don't want him to be guilty. I don't want to believe that he could have shot his friends like that. So I want to find another theory that works. But the problem is all of the theories that I find don't work with the evidence. All of the evidence points to him. So I'm trying to find who else it could have been, how else it could have happened, how else the blood could have been like that, the trajectory of the bullets could have been like that. And one of the hardest things I'm having too is that his phone was with him when he left the studio. It traveled consistently with no, however they worded it, no stops, or they didn't call it slowdowns. What they call it? I don't remember how they worded it. Anyway, they didn't stop or like pull over anything along the way. So he had it when he left the studio. He had it afterwards, and it was at the crime scene. So I would like to hear theories on how that could be explained, because we know he had his phone, and Felicia, out of everything that she said she doesn't remember, she did say she remembered, seeing him on FaceTime. But then she all of a sudden didn't remember if he said he was in a drive-by. I'd like to hear theories for how his phone could be explained if he wasn't there. Because he had it before and after. And the car showed continuous motion until it got to the crime scene. And there were no steps recorded. So like, let's say he got out of the car and went somewhere else. I keep trying to I'm taking all of the evidence they've given us and I'm trying to make it work with another theory. So we have an alternate theory. J-Rog says, the shooting seemed very planned, but the lack of conversation also has me wondering. Nothing about this makes sense. Which is why I keep asking all the theory questions. I want to discuss ideas. Doc 77 TV says, I think the copper yesterday has his mind made up and won't look at anything else. I disagree with that because he explained that the reason that he wouldn't look at some of the stuff that the defense attorney was saying is because he's able to rule it out for one reason or another. So it's not that he wouldn't look at anything else other than exactly what he thought. It's that he ruled stuff out.
Last week, I was plowing the back 40, so I having my tractor, I climbed underneath the tractor from the top of me. That pig went over, put his shoulder under it, pushed it out, and I managed to get out. The pig saved my life. Traveling substance, that's what it is. Is that everybody else's way? Oh, I said no. I was supposed to learn how to have a pig's life. I wish that somebody would learn too. 2 weeks ago, the house caught on fire. We lost sound to sleep. Pig went through there, blink, woke everybody up. My whole family got out safely, saved all my lives. I think so, because that's amazing that other people else, right? Yeah, I think so.
I love hot mics. Welcome. We have a new member. I'm behind on chat because I'm trying to read y'all's theories and questions and stuff. So I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to catch up. So I'm sorry I didn't catch this right away. But welcome. Everybody but Bortland had phones in the car. And when they did the geofencing, there were no other phones or anything else anywhere in that area. Where the drive-by.
You Irish TV? Well, you have one sleep in, I'm going to
Sorry? I don't know if she's doing it, but be here.
Good morning. 10 minutes. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out if they used it or not, but I mean the thing is they have the text from SAC talking about money, and then they have the deposition from his mom where he was talking about money and how he didn't think he was going to get his, and she said that he was hysterical over it. So they may bring that up, but one thing about the state is they don't have to prove motive, but one thing about the jury is that they want motive, like they want to know like what could make you kill your friends or what could make you kill your husband or wife or, whoever. It's not something they have to prove, but it's something that really helps juries understand things. Frankie's World says, I don't see the defense as arrogant. I see them as doing their job as defense attorneys. I think that they have like just the right amount of arrogance, like that confidence. Because even when he was wrong yesterday, when David A. Howard was wrong yesterday and he got shot down, he was still like,
All right. You all set, defense?
Yes, sir.
All right, spring injury.
they brought the jury back in to do the redirect, and then sent them back out so they could just get set up for all the videos. We're about to see videos.
How you doing, Jeff? Thank you. Let the record reflect the presence of the defendant, Mr. Devens, his counsel, the assistant state attorneys, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I think their state's ready to publish. Is that correct, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
What exhibit number is this again?
State's publishing, state's 81.
81 and evidence.
Yes.
Madam C.J. Walker, where was his phone? He said he didn't have a phone, and they never found one on him.
For record purposes, I'm going to begin with I-595, eastbound and westbound express, 1026-18, 0320 through 430. Eastbound lanes.
I'm sorry, I have to scroll forward. I'm so behind on chat. So I've missed so much. I was trying to get questions and answers and all that, but I've missed a lot, so I'm going to have to catch up. If I didn't get your question, ask me again. So you're saying that he could have gotten Melly's phone. Okay, so then where did Melly go, and how did Melly get his phone back right after that? Like, what's your theories? They didn't look for one, but there also wasn't another one that showed up on the geocache, and there wasn't one that they found under his name. He used his own phone to call Fredo and send the pings. It's not that Melly didn't have any GSR on him. Melly dipped out. He didn't go to the hospital. They never tested him for GSR. He dipped out and then he avoided police. And Portland didn't change his clothes. He had the hoodie with him. He put the hoodie on over the shirt he already had on. And the presumptive test was negative for GSR. It was the other test that was positive, and that could happen even if he's in a car when it's fired, when a gun is fired. Yeah, the GSR thing is not, it's like a screening tool, but it's not like it's not a huge factor. These are the toll, or not the toll, the road cameras, but they've already said that on these, they weren't able to see very clearly, but I guess we're watching them anyway. This is 3:26 a.m., so this is after they left the studio. This isn't even the exciting stuff yet. I'm not really paying attention. I'm trying to read comments. Yes. Oh, how could I forget this? That reminds me. That reminds me. How could I forget to show y'all this? I don't want to do it full screen. So over here at the crime scene, the stage drive-by. I'm trying to think of where it was. I'm messing everything up again. Oh. So look, when I was doing this yesterday, I was looking at this. And I was like, oh my God, this guy right here, like, scared me. I had this on my huge screen. Sorry, I'm messing this up. I'll move it. But I wanted to show you guys. I had this on my huge screen, and then all of a sudden I saw this guy like ducking, and I like busted out laughing to myself, all by myself at 1 a.m. all alone. Objection, I'm bored. Matthew says, they say there is only 3 phones. Who's to say Melly didn't get out and give the phone to Portland? Okay, so if he got out and gave the phone to Portland, when did he get out? And then how did he get his phone back from Portland if he didn't have a way to get in touch with him? PJ says, if Melly is acquitted, is he always going to have to look over his shoulder? I've heard a lot, actually, about like a bunch of the people in the area where he lived, like, you know, don't want him coming back. There's one, they caught a streaker one time too. They caught an escaped criminal, like on the run, like orange suit and everything. I saw that one. I can't remember where I saw that one. I was like, oh my gosh, too funny. Yes, Jacoby Mills testified under oath in a deposition that he went with Bortland, Melly, and Track the next day to the crime scene where they staged the shooting, and that there was a wooded area out there, and that they pointed to the wooded area where they threw two guns. They used one to actually do the shootings, but there were two guns, which actually I went back and looked at the studio footage too, and it looks like the other gun, was it Sack or Juvie? I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember now. But one of them had on like one of the satchels. It looks like it's like weighted down. And of course, Melly had his satchel that looked like it was weighted down. Like, because you can tell like when something has weight in it, like it kind of like it was like bouncing against his side. So I was thinking maybe that was it, possibly. But they had, he said that there were two guns that were thrown out in that wooded area, and that they went back. He went into the wooded area to get them. He found one of them and it had blood on it. But he said when they went back that day, he did not find the second one. They sent people out there to look. They sent divers out to search the canals that are right there, and they were not able to find the other one. But I would think that the one that had blood on it would have been the murder weapon one, unless the other one's just sitting out. But I mean, who knows? But yeah, he testified that they went back the next day, and she showed the cell phone maps. And when I went and mapped it all out on the chart, you can see that when I layered it all together and put it all together with times and stuff, you can see that Melly and Track, both of their phones did go to the scene the next day, and they stayed at that scene for and right where that wooded area is for, I don't know, like 7 minutes or however long it was. I can't remember. I put it on my chart. But so that corroborates his story. Track did not have the phone until after Melly was arrested. And he went in to talk to Bortland's lawyer, and they had put a warrant on Melly's phone to track it. So they knew that he had it on him when he showed up, and they served him with a warrant for it, and he turned it over. And they had the passcode for it because Melly gave him the passcode on a recorded jail call. So Track did not have the phone until then, until after he was locked up. Amen, Wing Hunter. Why not cut this down to the part that actually matters? I agree. This is the
37 seconds.
the footage on the road that you can't see anything.
And now publish I-75, Miramar northbound, 1026, 18, 320 through 335, beginning at 337 a.m.
Gosh, I was like, did it freeze? Nope.
Yeah, nothing really happening. I mean, it's hard to tell what we're seeing.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that this is really even good for is they're able to follow them along the track and say, like, or along their route that they took and say, you know, you can't, it's not like you can see who's in the car or anything. It basically just helps with timing to show where they were at what time to put the data map, to put the data on the maps to be able to tell how fast they were traveling and if they stopped and that type of thing. Let's see. Track is the manager. Okay, let's talk about track. So I have questions. Track's phone shows that they never caught those responsible for the drive-by with Tupac and Biggie. So why is it so hard to believe a car didn't pull up beside them and open fire while being stationary? They're it's a cone. It's a cone. Track's phone shows that he was at home from whatever it was, like 1:30 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. or something. I have questions. Okay, so if his apartments, or I don't know if it's his home, whatever apartment he was at, whatever apartment he was at. But then it's been said that he went and picked him up. Does Track have a different phone? No, it's how come we don't know about it. Correct.
Leads me that way. I don't have an opinion one way or another. But despite
Gracious. Her Kathy at Long Crime Jury will visit the car today. I asked if cameras will be allowed. She said they asked permission and are awaiting a response. Okay, but they went past their house to go there. So why would they have passed their house to go out to this small road? Leon said, I think Track is the mastermind. He'll get all the money and control Melly's photography. Well, Melly and Portland are in jail or worse. I believe he has a lot more involvement in everything going on than we know. He is a manager who knows more than he's telling, and he is refusing to respond to this subpoena. I don't think anybody's saying he's a murderer. I think we're all just, I won't say we all, I believe he knows a lot more than we think. But like I said, his phone shows he was at home, so I'm curious about who picked Melly up. Like, if they're saying it was him, how did he pick him up unless he had another phone? But if he had another phone, why would they not have subpoenaed that phone as well? New member, welcome. Enjoy solved it. Yeah, they also filed a motion, the state did, for them to be able to go see the crime scene, like where it was staged. But I think that motion was denied. But at least they get to see the car. I think they're just showing, like, these are the cameras along the interstate and stuff, the traffic cameras. So I think they're just showing, they're following them along the route, like if they pass this one at 346 and they pass another one this distance away at 352 or whatever. It's just plotting the data point, showing that they were along the way. It's part of how they, this along with the cell phone data and all that stuff, is kind of how they determine that they never stopped or slowed down.
Pending publishing at 3:49:01. That's the end of State Exhibit 81. Going to publish State 61.
Can we charge for it? Sure, hold on, Councilman.
He's done interviews with DJ Academics and 1090 Jake covered him. Do your homework. Who are you talking about?
What exactly it is this particular stream.
Go away. King Von is was another rapper. There will be no Melly trial next week. So the judge has decided that since I am going on vacation, they are too. So there's actually no trial next week. Worked out great for me. That's what we strive for.
Thank you. Let the record reflect the outcomes remain all as that. So, the videos, these are the.
Media production, those are already been entered into evidence. The extraction would be the next thing the state would be publishing, which would be the 300 photos that we had pulled out to show the defendant's home.
So, let me see what's on the.
Sure. And I think we had already done some of these, but I'll start playing them.
Don't know about the same people. Hey, bro, don't be speaking on me, bro. I don't do that. I don't do that. Don't know about the same people.
Thank you. So, these videos are just to show ownership of the phone.
Ownership of the Snapchat account.
Thank you, Terry.
You saw it. This is the most important shit here. Like, get right there, like, you know you come back.
That was the video we previously edited, Judge.
Before we tell me all that extra shit, you know, they need the most important shit here. Right, yeah.
So, stop for a second. Which ones are you saying are, need a balancing, 403 analysis?
Well, many of them are either way before this incident or way after. I don't know what the relevance is.
She's explained to me she's trying to establish who owns the Snapchat account because there's a dispute as to ownership of the account. That's the way I understand it. Is that correct, madam?
Yes, right.
Could we just see that last video again for a second?
This one? That's highlighted?
Right, yeah.
I know on these videos before there was an objection and I took out firearms, and there's also one with
Money and cash.
all right. Anything like this on any of these?
Yeah.
Do you have anything on any of these?
The next one as well? They both?
This one?
Yes.
Dude look like he got 5 kids at the student pickup right now, waiting.
Do we know who Snapchat is based on what we just saw? Whether it was the other gentleman or Mr.
What's the 403 analysis?
Well, the relevancy, the 401 analysis.
Right, I heard 403.
No,
All right, so
401.
relevance on past because they're trying to establish who owns the account. So the relevance objection's overruled. What's the 403 analysis?
Okay, I understand, Your Honor, that it is overruled, but I'd just like to actually make the argument, which is, if their purpose is to establish ownership because of who is depicted on the videos, that would be undercut if we're seeing other people depicted on the videos. That does, if the person on the video establishes who owns the account, then it might be the other person's account. So that just shows that the argument does not carry weight. As far as the 403 analysis.
You can argue that to the jury. You can argue that to the jury.
Okay, I want to put my relevancy argument on the record for the court to consider. As far as the prejudice is concerned, Your Honor, in each one of these, it depicts Mr. Demons in a, what may be, and we've only seen it. One thing we want the court to do is see them all, not assume the balance of them is not going to contain information that may have a 403 objection. So We first want to see them all and not be ambushed and try to unring the bell after.
You haven't seen them?
We haven't seen the ones, we haven't had them identify the ones that they intend to play. I mean, if you download some social media with millions of items of information and then come in here and cherry pick some to show, we need to see what they intend to play so that we can have some basis to either interpose an objection or not.
That's what they call a motion in limine. You file a motion beforehand, say, Judge, we need some determination as to all of these videos, which ones they're using or something along those lines. So we're not sitting in here while the jury's sitting in the jury room saying, what are they doing out there?
The other reason for the rules of evidence and the need for authentication is before they admit it into evidence, at the time, they establish its relevance. So this is the time for that. Not us asking, looking at 16 million items and saying, out of these, we are going to ask you to eliminate 14. The proponent of the evidence is the one that carries the burden of establishing the relevance of the evidence they propose to admit. And at that time, the relevancy or 403 objection becomes right because of what is ensued in the trial and what is left to be proven. And that is our position, Your Honor. And it seems that they only have maybe 8 more and they're a second apiece. I'm not quite sure what the prejudice would be to having them go through them so that the court can see what it is.
So it's clear for the record, Your Honor, that is all the videos on Snapchat, that's the entire production that was sent in. So we're not cherry picking in any way, shape, or form on this particular exhibit.
So how many are there?
There's 5 more, Judge?
17.
Could you go back to the one before that for a second?
No, we're just gonna go through it. We're going through all of it.
Okay.
Let's just get it done.
Melly's Snapchat account.
Last one.
They've already ruled, the judge isn't
Thank you.
going to let them show any
The one that we would have an
funds
objection
and all the
to
money out.
primarily is the one that they have 3 versions of towards the end with music lyrics in the background saying that and will kill you. That we think is objection. It's not his voice, it's a song in the background. This is a record.
Thank you. What's the position of state?
That is sent to one of the witnesses and that it is a threat to them and also an admission to the incident we have here today. So I'm going to cross-reference in just a moment with.
What's the date on it?
Eleven 22/18.
I'm sorry?
11/22/18.
She's wanting to show stuff to establish that
And
it's his
that
account.
was sent to, hold on.
This is all just to show that this is, show the jury that this is his Snapchat account. Good morning. Good morning. speculation, Madam CJ? What speculation on this thing? Thank you.
So that was sent to two different individuals that then are in the responses that are showing on the screen now, Your Honor. That there is a message that was sent from the defendant. It was a reply, that was a post that he had put on November 22nd, 2018. Then through the three messages on items 5, 6, and 7 are responses indicating that Mr. Demons had posted that specific message online and acknowledging it that they had seen it as one of his stories at that point.
Your Honor, the state just represented initially that they were putting on this evidence to establish the owner of the phone. We then recognized that to have been a pretext because now the state is claiming that the purpose for those highly prejudicial videos is to show that they were sent to a witness. When asked to prove that, the state is demonstrating that it was posted online and somebody responded to it, which is not what the state said. It doesn't show it's being sent to a witness, and it's not for the purpose of establishing its phone, that is his phone, and it contains lyrics that are prejudicial, and we object on 4 of 3 grounds.
We should say that.
Judge, we can always play it without the sound if that's what defense is concerned on, and it still shows that it is his.
You're saying though the messages reflect that there's a threat.
It does, Your Honor, and I think that is relevant, and based on the time frame of when it was posted after the homicides, that it is something that should go before the jury. But Your Honor, if Your Honor is going to make the balancing call on that with regards to if the audio portion is considered too inflammatory, the video portion can be played without any audio.
So what do you need the Snapchat account for?
So in terms of the information that's already been identified as Melly, Montana, is belonging to the defendant. And if you go on down here. This particular message, which is authored by the defendant, sent to Ms. Hamilton, saying that the individual known as Port, also known as Portland, saved in the phone, which is this co-defendant Portland Henry, says that he saved the life of Mr. Demons, and he's coming everywhere with him because if the crackers come grab him, it's my fault. That is November 9th of 2018. In addition, Your Honor, so here's the entire text of it. Make it easier to read.
They're trying to prove he's going to show all of the Snapchat videos to show that this is a Snapchat account. This isn't about the phone anymore. This is about the Snapchat account. So showing all of the videos, they've removed any of the ones that have him with guns, with his like with any of his lyrics, and with like stacks of money and stuff like that. They've removed any of those. They're not allowed to go to 3 of those because it's being prejudicial. But you still have to show and prove that it's his Snapchat account. So they're going through all the videos and stuff now. They want to prove that it's his Snapchat account because they are entering into evidence the message.
Melly, Montana. In addition, the Melly.Montana name links back to the Celebrate, which also helps show and support that the phone in state 64 belongs to the defendant.
They're going over all the Snapchat stuff now. Outside.
Anything else?
No, this has been
With respect to the statement itself coming in, our position would be that there is no contextual reference of what it refers to. These people have known each other for a long time. Outside of that, if that is what they're using as the predicate for needing the Facebook account in evidence, and the court deems it to be relevant, the state has offered to play it without prejudicial audio, and we think that would be an acceptable compromise.
Thank you. Any other, anything else contained in this Snapchat that has, that you're alleging as threats against witnesses? Because I haven't heard anything about a threat to a witness.
No other words.
Pardon me?
No other of those, no.
All right, so regarding what counsel is objecting to, the audio portion of those 3 Snapchats, I agree with. On a 403 analysis, take it out. So how long did these run?
Those would take about 10 minutes, and then the state would be intending to publish the 300 photos that we previously identified and showed.
Show the counsel 300 photos?
Yes, they were the ones that we'd previously shown. And so in terms of, to make it clear which ones are published for the record, you can put this in to explain the thumbnails and then identify them as by the image number on that, as opposed to putting the entire file name for each image in.
These are the exceptions from
State 64,
which is
with his cell phone.
Portland's not taking responsibility. They're just kind of throwing them under the bus.
and this is for the purpose of establishing that
It's his phone.
these are the ones that we. Okay.
You can have those if you want to look at
The actual photos themselves, we have those.
well, as I told you before. So, for example, special codec installed.
Judge is like, I don't even know what Snapchat is. Get them out of here.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah, so all of this stuff is already entered into evidence. The defense is objecting, and they've already agreed that they're not going to show anything with his, violent, lyrics and stuff. They're not going to show anything with guns. They're not going to show anything with a bunch of the cash. The thing about the one that she perceived as a threat, and then, of course, the messages that are between him and Mariah, she's wanting to enter into those as evidence, but she has to establish that this is his Snapchat account. So it's all of these things.
Counsel, you indicated, your phones were showed to me the last time, and I indicated those had to come out. Talked about sexually compromising positions as well as guns. All those type of photos are out.
The photos that are there would be ones that show the defendant's face, either on FaceTime calls or anything of that nature. There's no firearms that were in the photos that I showed Your Honor. It's my recollection. The defense counsel's reviewing them again, and I can put them up on larger format if they need.
I saw basic things that counsel showed me, 2 pictures in particular, which I agreed with. They were overly prejudicial, not probative of anything, and they should come out. So you're saying there's no pictures in this exhibit that discuss that, is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor. And I'll, verify again.
Could we have some stickers for a second?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I've heard that they thought that they were going to go to the 24-hour McDonald's that was right there, and that's why they didn't come right away, but I don't know.
We're recessed.
Of course we are.
Thank you.
Devin, do you need a restroom break?
No.
Melly.
Do you? Yes? All right, can we arrange that, please? Mr. Melly. Yes, sir.
Alrighty, so let's see. Alyssa K says, "What's the point to get that one message in? They don't need all those videos and pictures to do that." So here's why they're wanting to do this. So if they show the one message that's where he's talking to Mariah and he's like, "Hey, I have to keep, I'm going to take Portland with me everywhere I go now because however he worded it, when if the crackers come get him, it's all my fault. One of the realest things for me, that anybody's ever done in my life or whatever." So, and that was like what, a week or two after the murders. So they're wanting to get that in, and who knows what else. That's the main one I know of. But the one that she said that she perceives as a threat, I didn't even hear it, so I don't even know what that one was said. But then she also thought that the Kevin Gates song said something about both of them, but it doesn't say both of them. It says 4:30 a.m. So I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get that one. But the conversation between him and Mariah is a big one. So they want to get that in. Well, the way that this entire trial has played out has been like, we don't know if that's his phone. We don't know if that's his account. We don't know if anybody else is using it. We don't know this and this and this. So her showing how many of it, like, how many of the pictures and stuff like that, if they're going through the pictures, they've removed the ones that, will be prejudicial. But to show all of the others, like where, the videos might be him and his friends. Let's say somebody else, uses the same account. If you go through all of those pictures, it will show other people using the account. So by showing them all, it's showing, you can't say that, that everybody uses this account because all of the, Melly's the one holding the camera in all of them. Defense wanted to, when they talked about this the first time, when they presented all these and then did the whole ruling on the, prejudicial stuff, defense was saying, that they would just agree to stipulate that it's his account. But the problem is if they agree to stipulate that it's his account and then don't show all of the pictures, then defense can come right back and say, okay, yeah, it's his account, but anybody could have been using it. So showing that he's the one taking all the pictures is basically covering her own butt. Let's see. All of this has already been entered. This is not new discovery. This has already been entered. We've talked about this like a week or so ago. So defense is just saying, they're wanting to talk about it again because they have this. They know what's there. But they're saying that, out of the, hundreds of thousands of pages, that they had to look through and like the, all that stuff or whatever with all of his social media, they're saying that they've removed the prejudicial stuff, but now they don't know what else they're going to show. So they have this. This is not new. If timing works out and it's streamed, then I will do Cortland's too, because now I feel like how can you not, I guess, follow it through to the end? Let's see. I would just say Bort said he was sleepy and wanted me to drive. He shot them and lied to you saying it was a drive-by. Portland is the only person that said drive-by, I think. So from a juror's perspective, because they Felicia hasn't heard, or Felicia got amnesia, so the jury hasn't heard her saying, her and Mariah both talking about the phone call where Melly said that he was in the car and was involved in a drive-by. Both of them testified to it, but the jury has not heard that. It's also the video that Melly put out on his YouTube says that he and 4 of his friends were the victim of a drive-by. And there was something else. What was the other one? But the jury hasn't heard any of that. The only because Felicia got amnesia and none of the other stuff has been brought up. So that's the thing is I always have 2 things going. I have what I think, like 2 things working in my head anyway. I always have what I think happened or could have happened or did or didn't happen. And then I always have let me rephrase. I always have either guilty or innocent on this side or guilty or not guilty on this side. Like if the state has proven it is on one side, and then if I think he really did it based on evidence, even the evidence that the jury doesn't get to see on the other side. I always have like my 2 working theories. They separated them. Oh, that's old. It's making sure that it wasn't coming back. What they said, they are using different, it's different charges too, but Portland is charged with accessory after the fact and first degree murder, and his is not death penalty. And he's out on house arrest. He's out on bond. Melly, they said that they have evidence that Portland is not the one who pulled the trigger, which is all the evidence we heard yesterday. That they have evidence that he's not the one who pulled the trigger, so they separated it. But also, anytime people are convicted, it's always better for the defendants to do it separate anyway, because, it's just different circumstances. You can log into Snapchat, Twitter, etc. from anywhere. Yes, I must have missed something. let's see. We all think we are lawyers in our heads anyhow because we watch Forensic Files and First 48. Yes. Totally a lawyer. Basically. Kind of. But not really. Why didn't all of this come out during discovery and pretrial? It did. All of this is not new. We're just fighting over it again. Again. I'm not sure. This has been the craziest trial I've ever seen as far as getting people to come in and testify to what they have already said under oath. So, and to get people who have been subpoenaed to testify to completely avoid it. A lot of them, in one of the depositions, one of the families, one of the victims' family members said that that everybody's being paid off, and that's why nobody's coming. So who knows? What do you think about this case personally? I think that the evidence has made it to where I can't find any alternate theory about how else it could have happened. And I keep trying because I want to, like I said, he was my son's age when this happened. I want to believe that, like, I need an alternate theory. I want to believe that this isn't true. So my mind is still open right now. It's not looking good. So I'm trying to come up with theories that still work with the evidence. Hopefully it's not true. I can't imagine doing that, but I can't find any other theories that still line up with the evidence. Because a theory is only as good as the evidence that you have to back it up. And the evidence they have rules out so many other things that I can't find it. So it'll be interesting to see when defense gets up there because, all we're hearing from defense right now is them arguing about this stuff. We haven't heard anything from them about alternate, anything. Now, from the trial standpoint, they don't have to prove innocence. The state has to prove guilt. But as far as your question about what I think about it, I have not been able to find anything else that works with the evidence. So I'm curious to see where this goes. Do you think he's innocent? No. Innocent is a big word. I think that if he didn't do it, then he knows what's going on. So innocent is a big word, and I do not think he's innocent. I think that he has some kind of either knowledge or culpability, but I don't know. But as far as like, do I think he just found out this happened the next day? No, absolutely not. There's too much surrounding the circumstances that show that he at minimum knows something and at maximum is responsible for it. So I don't know where on this scale he falls, but I don't think he just like got out of the car and then found out the next day. Did they see if there was someone at that location waiting for them to arrive? So Jivy was asleep and Zach Chaser was awake. I think the 40 had a switch looking at the bullet holes. Yeah, there was no evidence of anybody else being there. There was nobody in the geo fencing. There was nobody else that they had any kind of communications with on any of the phones, on any of the apps about meeting up there. So and I mean, to be honest, like I can't think of a good reason why they would meet there. I mean, they passed their house to go there. Like, it's let me think. If they were meeting somebody there, it would have had to have been a conversation that they had in person or from someone else's phone who wasn't with them. I even went back to look. I was like, okay, well, maybe it was somebody else at the studio. But I even went back and watched the stuff from the guy at the studio, and he cleaned up, swept up everything, locked up, and he left and he went the other way. So for the extra time that it took for him to clean up and then drive the other way, he couldn't. There was nobody else at the studio that could have that it could have been either. So I can't find a scenario that has worked for that yet.
Explanation and no witness. It was just.
Why did Melly leave the car? Well, that depends. According to one of the stories told, he got out to pee and sent a Snapchat to Withers in the other car and told him that he wanted to get into their car, and they pulled over on 75 at, I can't remember what exit it was, and that everybody in the Jeep was fighting, or there was somebody was in a fight in the Jeep, so he wanted to get in their car. That was one of the stories, but that was proven to be a lie also. Why did he get out? So that's so if you're asking why he got out, like what the story is, that was one of them. If you're asking why he got out before they went to the hospital, then if he is the shooter, then he would have blood all over him. I don't know. I don't think Portland will testify either. Because that's what he goes by for his rapper name. That's right. I don't think I'm a lawyer because I know I'm a jurist. We are 13th jurors. Yeah, that's one of the things that they're yeah. I wondered this same thing. So like
If the pictures worked out, council?
when they left, it seemed
We're about 98% of the way there.
like things were fine. I mean,
Shaking it up.
they could have gotten into a fight in the car, but even if they got into a fight in the car, if they were fighting, they would have been like looking at each other. It wouldn't have been unless they had fought before and then did this because of that. I don't know. You're late. You're late. You haven't missed much. Welcome. I think Terry Reinhardt says they are probably scared. That's why they don't want to talk. I think a lot of them are scared and or paid off, according to what the families were saying and what the bank statements were saying. So this is one of the theories that's been talked about a little bit too, is that if they swapped spots, but in order to do that, because the car is showing consistent movement from the time it left the studio until the time it got to the deserted area. So they would have had to swap spots once they parked there, killed both of them, and then swap spots again. Yes, there was DNA on the door handles, but that's not really that surprising, though. I mean, we know that they were all in the car. His lawyer is something Haddad, I think is what his name is. He's in a lot of these depositions too, because when they were originally, before the cases got split and everything, they have a lot of the same witnesses and stuff, obviously. So he's in a lot of the depositions questioning people and stuff too. Oh my gosh, I'm scared to know this at the end of the day. Like the time of sidebars and breaks compared to the time we've actually spent something productive. Oh yeah, good point. That is, they went over that yesterday. Good point. Blood splatter of Portland shows they did not swap spots. GPS shows the car did not stop, so I wasn't even thinking about the blood spatter. Angel Robert says, yep, you can swap seats while the car is still running. They could have changed seats at a stoplight. There are no stoplights on the interstate. And the short time that they had off of the interstate, that's where the cameras that caught them, like the McDonald's camera and the school camera and all of that. So
Tori, let me ask you this.
There wasn't a time for them to stop. The majority of their ride home was interstate. The when you look at the map too, it's interstate pretty much the whole way home. But then even when they get off the interstate, it's like a split highway type deal. And I actually took like the street view or whatever and like went through the whole thing on there, like looking to see what it looked like and stuff. And there isn't really there was not a stoplight for them to stop that to change. It doesn't work with any of the footage and all that. JT is doing okay today. I talked to him this morning. He's doing good. This is something I want to hear theories on too. Do any of you think, okay, let's say that Melly did this and, we know Portland went to the hospital and, took him there. We know that based on the evidence that, he was in the car when this happened. So do you think that he knew that this was going to happen? Well, I guess he had to have known it was going to happen. He drove out there. I don't know. Hello, Wiggle Styles. Are Juvie and Sack Chaser brothers? No, they are not.
Had to come out, talked about sexually compromising physicians as well as guns. All those type of photos are out.
The photos that are there would be ones that show the defendant's face, either on FaceTime calls or anything of that nature. There's no firearms that were in the photos that I showed Your Honor. It's my recollection. The defense counsel's reviewing them again, and
I don't know if the state has any objection. I thought they had no objection to removing those.
there's no objection to removing any of the firearms, that some of those were left in there. They were inadvertent on there. There was two that just wasn't clear that that's what it was until the defense counsel pointed it out. But as to the money and things like that, those are images that were taken on the phone. Sometimes there's 5, 6, 7, 8 shots of that particular outfit or whatever the issue may be on that, which shows that the individual has all of the photos. It's not just the one that's posted to social media. So it's important to show that there are multiple takes to get the best one that's later posted to the social media websites.
Thanks. What's the objection regarding the money? Shots of the money?
It's not relevant.
For the same 403 grounds that the court introduced the subject of money earlier, which is to the extent that it might be off, I'm not quite sure what the court's thinking is, but to the extent that it might be off-putting to see somebody flaunting their means, we think it's unnecessary. Plus, there's an unnecessary, as far as the 403 balance is concerned, the court, if the state's purpose is to establish the ownership of the phone and they're putting in 300 photos, if we take out 20 photos of marginal relevance and potential prejudice, I think the 403 balance clearly weighs in favor of exclusion. It's cumulative and it's also cumulative and unnecessary. And that what the court has in hands and is handing back are the hard copies. The reason why we're taking so much time and we're over there with the state is because there are some digital images that the state was unable to print, and as among those, there are fewer that we seek to exclude, but they would be for the same reason. And the state would have to, at some point, go and take those out of the digital image, which would be removing, it's either money or guns. And I think that's it.
And you're saying that the pictures related to the money are important because why?
Showing who is using the phone. There are multiple images of the defendant in terms of they'll be taking 30 and 40 photos on one day, but only one is posted to social media. This is to be able to make an argument later on to the ladies and gentlemen as a jury that this is the person who had that phone, who's using that phone, because there's only one, the best image that's selected that's put on social media.
Also suggesting to me that in that array of photographs there, that the total photographs with cash is 20 or so approximately, where it's flaunting funds, and there's more than enough to establish the point that you're trying to establish.
So in addition to that, there's been no testimony that's legal money. In terms of that, there is movie and prop money that's referenced in other places in the phone. For example, there are notes in the phone in which the defendant has a list, wish list of things where he says he needs fake money to do a video shoot on that. So I don't think there's any undue prejudice on that in saying that there's any sort of financial means.
Hey, anything else?
No.
I don't think it's necessary, so sustain the objection.
Okay, so we'll go through and then create a new selection of those photos with defense, and that way we can get that forward to the ladies and gentlemen jury.
And how long is that gonna take?
About 45 minutes.
So I'm gonna bring the jury in now, send them to lunch, tell them to come back at 1:15. Does that give you enough time?
Yes, sir.
Before we do that, I'm of the impression, and I might be wrong, and I stand corrected if I am, that this concludes the evidence that the state has to present today, absent the court ruling that the jury can go and view the automobile. And we have been presented with a written motion that they have fashioned very quickly, nice and efficiently. We would want an opportunity to respond. And so we would object to the viewing of the vehicle today. And if they're going to take 45 minutes of the jury's time to take out photos digitally, and that's all they're gonna do when we come back and play them, we might as well conclude and pick this thing up on the 10th when we return. So that's just my suggestion, and it's predicated on an understanding of what the state has left to present.
Thank you. So what is it that you need to do to prepare for the motion to do a jury view, Council?
Well, look at some research, particularly with respect to the purpose for that the state has advanced, which is to demonstrate the dimensions of the inside of the cabin of the vehicle. If it is to do that, the jury going and viewing a vehicle with 5-year-old congealed blood in it, a scene, we might very well be able to find a substitute automobile that is clean, that we can rent, that will serve the same purpose. So if the court is of the opinion that the state is entitled to have the jury examine the dimensions of the vehicle, they can do it in a clean vehicle where there's no prejudice. So we want an opportunity to go rent one so they could go and see it, opportunity to find one that is of exact dimension so there'd be no prejudice, and proceed that way, and an opportunity to research whether or not under the circumstances they'd be entitled to do it at all.
In addition to that, Your Honor, we'd ask the court to review the Judge Siegel's order denying the state's motion for review by jury of the proposed scene on the grounds that there are numerous photographs. The exact language is, the state has ample evidence from which a jury can gain an understanding, and in this case, the place where the alleged shootings of the vehicle out on 27 occurred. And as such, the court, Judge Siegel, denied that jury. There are plenty of photographs of the Jeep. I think the state introduced somewhere in the area of about 40 to 50, possibly more, photographs of the Jeep. There's no need to do that, but if the court is considering it, we obviously need time to do a little research on it.
Your Honor, the state would suggest I asked defense counsel numerous times if they wanted to view the vehicle and be able to make an accurate determination of that. They've declined to do so on any prior occasion. The vehicle is downstairs, if Your Honor, and defense wanted to look at it to understand that it is not gory or gruesome in any way at this point. There's no bright red blood stains or anything like that. I would suggest that that would be important for defense counsel and Your Honor to see before making any such determination.
Well, a couple things. Number one is that I wasn't aware that Judge Siegel already ruled on a motion for a jury review.
Not of the car. That was done with regards to transport the jurors to the scene, to give them an understanding of the time and space from Fort Lauderdale to the edge of the Everglades. So that was a separate with regards to a jury pool in terms of transportation and things of that. So
You're suggesting what Mr. Adelson just represented to me had nothing to do with the jury view of the vehicle.
Correct.
That is correct. I said the scene. And if the court misunderstood me, I apologize if I didn't.
I didn't hear that. Regardless, counsel, I spoke with Mr. Tom Wolf, Tom Wolf, who advised me that you mentioned to him this morning about the jury view. He came to me, and then I got a call from Captain Tianga telling me that it would basically be impossible to do a jury view today, that if they were going to do it, they needed time and wherewithal to a secure area because the jury view would, I assume, require the defendant to be there. They'd have to be unshackled. His counsel would have to be there. You'd be there. I'd be there. The jury would be there. And it would be, they'd have to secure the area. And what was explained to me by Captain Tiang is that's not a secure area downstairs. And he is concerned about it. So he said it couldn't be done today. And if you went so far as to ask for a jury view of the scene from Judge Siegel, I would have thought you would file a motion pre-trial regarding seeing a jury view of this as well. And you didn't, and I would have thought you would figure that out before you say something to the jury that it can be done or would be done. You know, that's the way it was. The implication I got. I would just think you'd clear that with the court before you start telling the jury about it. In any event, so we're going to bring the jury in. I'm going to tell them to be back at 1:15, and you go ahead with your publishing. But according to what I've been told by BSO, a jury view isn't happening today. So we can talk about the motion. We can set it down for hearing next week or tomorrow, whatever you all want. We figure out, pick a day, and we'll talk about it. But it's not going to happen today.
Understand.
All right, bring the jury in, please. Jury entering. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence of the defendant, his counsel, and the state attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. It's going to be quick. I'm not done with the attorneys. I need some more time with them. So we're going to break for lunch now. See everybody back at 1:15. Just remember, you can't discuss the case, all right? Leave your notepads on your chairs. No research. No forming anything about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence. See you back at 1:15. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Anything to discuss at this time, Council?
No, council to remain, so we can go over our own images, so there's no issues.
All right? Yes, sir. Resolve that. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you back at 1:15. Have a good lunch.
All righty. Well, we have had a very productive morning. What all have we learned today? Nothing. Nothing. The official sentencing date for who? Who are you asking about? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodness, goodness. I seriously doubt that Melly will testify. He would be an idiot to testify. The only thing he's got going for him right now is that he hasn't talked to anybody. I doubt Melly would go down there. I think that they have I think they have it there. I doubt he would go down there with them. There's a lawyer who says he thinks he must testify. Look, don't get me wrong. I would love it if he did. I would love for him to tell us his version of what happened, but I don't see it happening. It would be stupid to, because as soon as they start asking him questions, unless he's 100% innocent and was out of the car before this happened, but the thing is, if he has any kind of, I just don't see how that could end well for him. Unless there's a way that he can, like, if he has some way that he can make sense out of everything, but I don't see how he could, or why he would, I should say. Let's see. He thinks the testimony yesterday was too damaging. Yeah, the testimony yesterday was very damaging. The last 2 days has been very damaging. Up to this point, I've, said I don't think the state has shown anything yet. Of course, obviously it's still early, whatever. But yesterday and today are the 2 days that I think have, shifted everything in this. Like, the thing is, it's like there are some things that are hard to explain, and then there are some things that are almost impossible to deny. And science is one of those things. Like the cell phone stuff looks really bad, but it's like, even when I'm asking y'all for different theories and stuff, I'm saying, hey, y'all send me your theories about, the phone and how he could have done this and this and this. But I'm not asking you to send your theories on where else the shots could have come from, because to me that's proven. Like there's no other way to make any of that work. So it's like it is proven that the shots came from the back left seat, and it is proven that Portland was sitting in the front seat when it happened. and it was proven that Melly got into the car in that seat. So something had to have happened from the time we saw him get in the car. The car continued on all those data points on the cell phone, and then the camera stuff we just saw, and in the CCTV from the other places along the way, after they got off the interstate and stuff, you know, the car continued in motion until it got to that area. The drive-by was staged in that area after both of them were already dead. And Melly had his phone afterwards saying for somebody to come pick him up, that nobody's answering the phone, and shit was crazy. Brazy. So that's all very, that it looks real bad right now. So we'll have to see where it goes and what defense can tell us that like what defense can tell us that's, you know, any different. It wasn't data from the car showing it was still in motion. It was from the phones. It was from the phones and all of the security time stamps and all that, the camera time stamps and all of that stuff. Yeah, no court next week. Lucy Sparkles, I'm interested to hear this because I have heard it was Track, but Track's phone was still at his apartment. He sent the message to Fredo Bang to come pick him up. And Fredo said he's on his way. So I guess when the rest of the cell phone and text evidence comes out, we'll find out maybe more about that, hopefully. But I know that that's one of the questions that they had on the stuff that they wanted to ask Fredo Bang, and his attorney-client privilege denied that. But why would they have an expert for the shooting angles if there isn't any possible way the shots could have happened? You're basing it all off science. Not enough to me. I don't understand. I'm sorry. Yes, the point where they stopped and Melly took 70 steps was while they were at the crime scene. After they're away from any cameras, there's no actual confirmation of that. So the let's look at the map. Let's see if we can find a theory that works. And then we're going to go to lunch. See. Let me move myself again. All right, so they get off the interstate. There's no stopping on the interstate. There's all the cameras and all that. There's no stop signs. It's interstate. All right, they get off the interstate right here. The camera picks them up right here. Both of them both of the cars back to back. The red SUV and the Jeep. So that's our first camera. So up to this point, we know there's no stopping. What time was this one? Let's see. I think it was 3:53 or something. $3:40. Oops. Okay, so why is that the wrong one? The red SUV enters the gates down here. $3:46. $3:46 is when it passes by this one. Okay. Shit. Shoot. What is happening? Okay, let's see. 8-minute drive. And it's an 8-minute drive from there to there, and it took 7 minutes to get to this one. So it's an 8-minute drive. It took them 7 minutes to get there. And this, go away. And this is not like, this is the only stoplight, but I don't know that they would have had time to stop there if they're getting there 1 minute before the time it would take. And then I mapped it out yesterday. The drive from here to the crime scene is like 5 minutes. And that adds up too. I don't know. I mean, all of this stuff is just, it goes with, I want to find another theory that's possible, but the thing with reasonable doubt is it has to be reasonable. And the problem I'm having is finding something that I can believe in. And I just haven't yet. I went over this stuff at length about the difference in the reports, and it's the engineering report is it is accurate. It gives you the variation, so it can say it's between this and this, and everything that's plotted is, when I mapped everything out, everything was between the variables that it gave, and it puts them I don't know. It just here's the thing. It just seems like if you are a juror and you're looking at without even thinking about all of the stuff that we know that they don't. If you're just looking at what they've seen, I think it's going to be really hard for the jury, unless they're given some other explanation. It's going to be really hard for a juror to listen to them give because they went over the difference in the cell phone reports, and you can say cell phone stuff isn't accurate all you want, but the stuff that they gave on the report is, and that whole long paper thing where it says I screenshotted it when I was mapping stuff out, the one that says what readings are confident and which ones aren't. The ones that were not accurate, I didn't even include in my chart. I didn't even include those. These are the ones that I included when I mapped it out, is only the stuff that was the precise stuff. So between that and the timestamps on the cameras, I think it's going to be really hard for a jury to say, okay, well, all of this evidence shows that the car didn't stop, that he got, let me start. All of this evidence shows that he got in the car continuously moved and did not stop until it got to that spot. There was a drive-by that was staged at that spot. The first time Melly's phone is showing movement is when they got to that spot. And then you can see the spots of where they're going, or not even the spot, you can see the camera where they're moving after. You can see it's latitude and longitude. This is it's going to be hard for a jury to say, okay, yeah, he got in the car in the exact spot where the shots came from, The car showed constant motion until it got to that point. We know that the shots that were done at that point when the car finally stopped were done after the victims were already dead. So from some point when this car left the studio with him in that seat to where it got there, somebody that was sitting in his seat that we saw him get in shot those shots. So it's hard to, I can't find another scenario that works. And I see people like, it's like, the reason I keep asking is because like, I want to be able to believe something else, but there's nothing else that works that I've found yet. And even the arguments like, okay, you can say all you want to. Well, I have a friend who uses my Snapchat. Okay. All right. But you having a friend that uses your Snapchat doesn't negate the fact that he has 30 to 40 pictures of himself every single day on his Snapchat. And he's constantly posting stuff and he's constantly in contact and he's constantly got it. And he's got all of these things and he's talking to his mom and he's calling her mom. Yes, you can log into Snapchat anywhere, but he wasn't logged in anywhere. He was logged in on that phone at that location. So it's just, at this point, the evidence is getting so overwhelming that it's hard to find anything else that fits into this. He got in the car, he had his phone. Evidence shows that the car was in constant motion until it got there. His phone was still there in the car. He had his phone right after. So I can't think of anything else that works with the evidence. I mean, you can't really argue with the science part of it and the common sense part. If you take out the Snapchat stuff, okay, he sent some really damning messages. There's a really damning conversation between him and his girlfriend. Take that part out. I'm not even worried about that. That's just icing on the evidence cake. From a simple standpoint of, because I'm all about the data, I'm all about the facts. I like the other stuff. It builds the story around it, but he got in a car, the car didn't stop moving. By the time it stopped moving, they were dead. He was still in the car. And the shots came from his seat, or his phone was still in the car. The shots came from his seat. And then he had his phone again right after that. No DNA is not an argument. No DNA is not an argument. They had DNA of him in the car. We know he was in the car. DNA means nothing. He was in the car. We saw a video. He was in the car. That means nothing. I can't. I can't find anything else that fits with the evidence. So who knows? Maybe something else will come up and it'll show, hey, we have proof that they hauled ass during this quarter mile so that they could stop here and swap and then found him again after. I don't know. We'll see. Greg, Becky, they said that all of the data points from the cell towers, from the security cameras, from the traffic cameras, from the cell phone engineering report. The cell tower I don't really even count. I didn't even put any of that in my stuff. But the engineering report stuff with the more exact spot and stuff. They did the time of all of those times, and everything was consistent with not stopping. Plus, they were on the interstate. So if you're riding along the interstate, you're going to know if you stop. How fast do you go on the interstate? You're going to know if you stop. If you stop on the interstate, you have to get off on an exit, stop, and then get back on and go. And you're going, what, 70 on the interstate? So, yeah, and Melly's door, or the back driver's side door, was open when the stage was seen. The stage was seen. Scene was staged. So, just because a person doesn't want Melly to have done it is not reasonable doubt. And that's what I'm struggling with right now. I don't want him to have done it because he was, and it has nothing to do with his music. I had only heard the one song. To me, it's, he was the same age as my son when this happened. And I want to believe that there's some other explanation, but we'll see as it goes. Maybe they'll be able to, give us something that makes other things make sense. Like we're still just in the prosecution phase of it. So when defense gets up, that's when, we get to hear their side of it, and we'll get to see, what they say. It's not uncommon to look at a case when the prosecution is presenting it and think, it looks bad. It's when defense gets up to see what they have to say about it, to see, before you can make a final decision. So I would love to be able to find something else that worked with the evidence they've presented so far. But I'll be really curious to see what the defense gives us, what they give us to think about, and all of that good stuff. So we'll see. Look at my message. Oh, I missed a message. We are at lunch, so we're about to break for a while, and they'll be back in an hour. So I've got a separate stream set up for the afternoon part of it. That's a good point, Mike Barbie. The reason he put on his hoodie is if the other one, the window being blown out. That's a good point. It's hard to enjoy this trial when the host is convinced of guilt. Okay. What message where'd you send it? Flip-flop count, we are at 2 right now. And she could tell, like, when I start getting antsy in the seat, she could tell that, like, we're about to get up. So she knows that she's about to get taken outside. at 19, you know right from wrong, no excuses. That's why I want to believe it's not true, because at 19 you have your whole life ahead of you. I look at my kid, you know, like he has his whole life ahead of him, and to throw it all away for something, you know, being 19 doesn't mean like, oh, he's a child, he doesn't know. It means like you know, you have your whole life ahead of you. It makes me sad to think he would be capable of something like that. All right, I think oh wait, I'm almost caught up. Casey Smith says, what happened this morning? Anything good? Nothing happened. A lot of recess and sidebars. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see my. All right, now I think I'm caught up. All right, yeah, I'm caught up. All right, no, they never found his clothes he had on that night. All right, I am, oh, you know what? Actually, Blake Patton, they probably thought it was the perfect setup if he did it and that it would look like a drive-by. You know what? If Vanderlyn had been, had been investigating this one, you know, who knows what could have happened? Nothing happened. That's what happens when Vanderlyn looks. Alrighty, so we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna take Lucy out. She's like pacing down here right now because she knows it's about time. We will see y'all back. I don't foresee them doing a whole lot this afternoon. I know we're gonna look at the Snapchat stuff. I haven't heard back yet about if cameras are gonna go for them and if they're looking at the car and all that stuff. I missed all that, so we'll see. But I will see y'all back here, and let's see, it starts back in an hour, so I'll see y'all back here in about 45-50 minutes. All righty. I almost just ruined this. I almost just ruined all that work I did. All right, y'all, I'll see you back in a little bit.